Welcome to all inspiring chefs, cooks, and everything in between alike. This is Griever, your guys' host as always. This is my bar, the place I'm always at, and this is Shokugeki no Soma, chapter 283, chapter review. Let's get cooking, guys, because this entire arc is a mess. This chapter is pure proof of it. You can talk about growing pains, which I complained about on my old channel and now currently on my new channel. You can talk about the growing pains with the whole murder case, Megami and Soma solved, the bullshit with the hot springs thing. You can say that was growing pains into the next arc. I call it filler crap, but you can, or setup. But it didn't set up anything well. One key piece of information was the noir chefs. Alright, so the dark chefs were set up. That's basically what 7 odd chapters told us. The new antagonists are dark chefs. So we're going Toriko with this. Alright. Then in this chapter, once again, the pacing is so off. They've been jumping genre to genre every couple of chapters for the last 20 odd chapters, 30 odd chapters. And then they decide that pacing is a problem. So they write in, okay, the blue. The blue is supposed to be the ultimate competition. It has been hyped up as something that Joshiro himself was requested to be at. Not Azami. Not Gin. No. Joshiro. Alone. Out of the Elite 10 from his day. Now all of a sudden, instead of doing a training arc, which a lot of people are pissed at, I'm a little miffed at, okay, now all of a sudden, here's the blue competition, let's go. With no foreshadowing, no real setup for that, it's just like, okay, we're going to talk about the blue competition, and it's going to be in a few months stuff. It's like, no, here's blue. All of a sudden, we just finished a halfway through second year exam thing, here's blue. Blue right away, right after that. So all those chapters, all that fun meant nothing. So they're jumping from school life to drama. It's all over the map for this. And the blue competition, as I said, is something that's hyped. It's supposed to be the competition. So off the bat, we start the chapter and we have Adani, we have Soma, and we have Megami at the blue competition. I already have a problem with this, right off the bat. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, okay, she's a fan favorite character, or they're the main cast and stuff, but Megami has no place being there. I am sorry, guys. You cannot convince me that the third, first, and second seat of Joshiro's year, that Joshiro was the only one as the Azura, and I'm still toting this, the best chef in the series, was the only one from his generation given that invite, and now you're going to tell me that Gin the first seat was not given an invitation, but Megami 10th seat was. That's just bad writing, guys. I don't care. You can add her in somewhere else, but you're taking out, all these other seat members, and Megami is not that on that level. Megami is not. Neither is Nani on Soma's level, or past Joshiro's level, or a lot of the other higher members of the Elite 10. I'm sorry, it's just not a thing. It doesn't make sense for the character and the plot. It's not about disliking the character. It's about the fact that they don't belong there. So right away, already in the first couple pages, I don't like where this is going. We all of a sudden we're in the blue competition with very little build-up or foreshadowing to that, no training arc, and it seems that Soma, throughout the chapter, has not gone through something. Because if you guys remember, when he had to do that, the thing that begins with an S, I can never pronounce it, the staggeries, whatever thing, where he went with the French chef, or the Japanese chef who does French cooking, Chef Shinomiya. When he went there, and after he came back, you remember that attitude he had? After learning and growing from a training, he got the long hair, he was all smiles and smirks and like, oh yeah, and he played it off cool. His demeanor had changed to, I'm a badass. Now I have leveled up. We are getting a toddler throwing a tantrum in this chapter. Because we see, okay, here's the blue competition. It's all exciting. Anne is back, and she's like, let's introduce the main dude, and he's gonna pull a whole I'm emperor shrouded by, drapes and friggin' so the only hype thing for this chapter would have been to be revealed who is the head guy who decided, all right, I've been the head of the blue competition of the WGO for a very long time, and I've decided to add the noirs. That would have been the hype thing, to see who is this character. Do we know them? Are they related to any of the characters we know? What's the connection here? And why now all of a sudden is this one big massive plot with the jewel generation, and Susanamon, and Azami knows about it, and all this stuff, which would have been really cool. But no, let's waste about 6 pages to hype this guy up, explain the hierarchy, which is totally unnecessary to explain that whole pyramid scheme. Totally unnecessary to explain that, because it won't be relevant to the rest of the manga. It wasn't relevant before, it's not going to be relevant now, and then it's like, here's the main boss himself, and he's pulling a Shogun. He's gonna, sit there behind the drapes and the friggin', so that was a waste. And then we see the noir chefs have shown up, and we have Power Rangers, Sailor Moon villains, reject anime, shonen villains from the 90s, some Street Fighter guys. I understand you want to make the noir chefs, like the new antagonists, stand out. But this is going a little far, don't you think? The Elite 10 stood out, and they were all students, and they had a couple of different hairstyles, and the sushi guy was a little different and stuff like that. But they all looked unique. They all had unique styles and personalities and such. But they didn't have to be a villain of the week from a Power Rangers episode, guys. Come on. So even if the designs might tickle your fancy, it's unnecessary. It's too flamboyant. It's too blasé. It's too over the top for me to really enjoy it. I laugh at it, really. It looks comical, and it's supposed to be taking off the aura and such, and I'm just waiting for more. Like, are we going to introduce gourmet cells at this point? Or the gourmet luck? It's going to be all about that now, or are we going the Toriko route with it? And I've been talking about Toriko a lot in these reviews, the past couple of reviews, because it's feeling like this needs to go to the Prince of Tennis Toriko level of just superpowers. Just forget the whole, this is actual potential good cooking. Let's just go balls to the wall, and let's start cooking up giant alligators and stuff, because it's starting to get silly, and they're trying to add a serious tone to it, and the art style is great to imply that, but the plot and the pacing and the dialogue is just off the mark. It's just not working for me. So now that we've wasted all of that, then Saiba shows up, Saiba Asaishi, and he just is going through, and this is what I'm talking about. So here's the 2 main problems. He shows up, and Soma's all like, fine night for revenge, can't wait sort of idea. And they explained, the one good thing they did explain was, okay, there's 4 gates. It's going to be first gate, which is where they're standing, second gate, third gate, Heaven's Keep. Heaven's Keep is where the final tournament with all the finalists show down. So there's multiple competitions. So they kind of have to build their way up through the competition. I believe that's probably a different system. They do explain that it's a little different from how they usually do it. I can see that because they're trying to, make this exciting and such. But the worst part of it is that Soma clearly has not grown up. And he is not trained well, because we don't see the demeanor difference, the grounding that he should get by his defeat by this guy. That this is a real threat, that shit is going down, this is the blue. He can still be him. He can still be, Joshiro's son and be all childlike about it. But this whole kid throwing a tantrum, you're here for my revenge. You know what he feels like to me? He feels like that character that is like a side character in every kids' TV show who's all like, my arch rival, you're finally here. And the main character's like, I don't know, he calls me his arch rival. Right now, Soma is acting like a child with a tantrum. He's acting like that side character who treats the main character as an arch rival, but really, they're like this. They're on different tiers. And that's not good. This is literally happening right now. This is the blue. And if you try to convince me that he underwent no changes and no skill training and no level up till this point, and now he's going to go through these 3 gates and be on par with that, that's ludicrous. That's bad pacing. That doesn't work. And his attitude in this chapter shows it, that he hasn't leveled up. Once again, after working in the French kitchen, then coming back, his demeanor changed, his hair changed slightly, like his attitude. He's still the same character, but he had a demeanor change that proved like, okay, he's more badass now. He can take on, he couldn't take on the Elite 10 before. Now he's mid Elite 10 level, easy. And he can actually throw a challenge. We don't see this. We see no changes. So that worries me completely. That either we'll probably get a flashback arc where he trained with Joshiro night and day sort of idea. Something like that. I hope we do, to justify if he's actually going to do good at this competition. But the fact that he's acting this way is terrible. And then, even worse, because I said, okay, if Megami is here, now I know Megami fanboys, sit down. She's not in the top 10 chefs in the manga, okay? She's just not. I don't really like her character that much, but that's beside the point. She's 10th seat. And fine, she's 10th seat. But that means there's 9 people above her who aren't standing there. There's also plenty of other characters in this series who are above 10th seat level. So, where are they? Well, Saiba explains it. Goes, yeah, I'm not here with you fodder guys. I jump all the way to the 3rd gate of this competition because my past accomplishments and my achievements show that I go further. I'm seeded further. And for anybody who watches sports, seeding is a thing. It happens. You know, whoever has the best record is seeded through first round sort of idea. That's a real thing. Okay, I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is the fact that the way it's explained is that here's the worst, the people that barely got an invite. And Soma, Dani, Megami, and nobody else that we know of is at the 1st gate. So, if Soma, the 1st seat, is not seated past the 1st gate, then that says to me that everybody below him, with the exception of potentially one of my favorite characters, but other than that, nobody else in the Elite 10 is in this competition. Okay, we have some problems with this. We have serious issues with this because Soma, the 1st seat, is at the 1st gate. Megami is at the 1st gate. So they're basically saying they're on the same tier, and that's bullshit. That's just flat out bullshit. This also means that if we are going to see fan favorite characters and other characters from past arcs, which we should, this is the blue competition, if Megami got an invite, every single person that Soma ever went up against should have an invite, okay? Her losing streak is terrible, guys. Let's be honest here. So that means that Rindo, Tsukasa, that means that none of the Elite 10, other than, as I pointed out, that means that Akira, that means Alice, that means, Rio, none of them, which are, once again, they were those two plus Arena and Alice, they are all better chefs than Megami. Where are they? Are you telling me they don't get an invite? But just because Megami is one of the main girls in the whole thing with Soma, she gets invited just for some, what? To be there? It doesn't make any sense. So they're either not there or they haven't revealed them, which would be really stupid. Those 3 walking around, but the rest of them aren't walking around with them. That's really dumb. So, but to have Soma and Megami on the same level, like Soma's not seated to the 2nd gate and Megami gets an invite to the 1st gate on the same level as Soma, that makes no sense. Plus, that means that Arena, Tsukasa, Rindo, Shinamaya, and I'm not saying that they aren't better than Soma. I'm saying that these people, that means if they're even there, that means they're already seated above him. That breaks so much character development with everything we know. We know that Rindo and Soma and Tsukasa are kind of like this, with Tsukasa probably still being a little higher than Soma. But to say that he's a tier above him would be a little bit of a stretch. At least in my opinion. Same with Arena being a whole tier or more above. Where's Arena at? Have they even looked for Arena? Do they even know what Arena's doing? She's the headmistress. Like, this chapter is such a bad placement for this chapter. Because we see no reaction from them. They should be concerned about Arena, and they're not. So they know either they're playing dumb and they know that, like, there's just, there's so many issues with this chapter. This chapter is bad for character development. It's a bad placement for chapter 283. This should not be chapter 283. This should be further. This should be in the 300s where the blue tournament starts. And even if you're going to start the blue tournament in the next few chapters, you need a couple more chapters to set up. The main characters have to understand what has happened to Arena, or they need to be very concerned that she's kidnapped and assume the Dark Noirs, and when they showed up, Soma should have went up and said, "We know you have Arena," or some badass line or something. Which, once again, would have happened like when he went up against Aizen, and he went up there, "You're not going to destroy my dorm." We needed another badass, serious moment. But instead, he's acting like some 2-bit child. So we have character problems. We have pacing problems. We have placement of the chapter problems. We have the problem of literally Megumi, Adani, and Soma apparently being the only characters at the blue competition, at the first gate, and everybody else is either seated above Soma for some reason, because apparently everybody he's ever fought and either matched or defeated is a whole tier above him, according to the WGO. Or, like, and the fact of the matter is, once again, guys, is that, like, Megumi and Adani being there breaks the blue competition. It's not worth anything anymore. It's just not. Because Gin and Azami did not get an invite. They did not get an invite to the blue competition when Joshiro did. And Joshiro got one. They are all the same age as Joshiro was when he got the blue invite. So you're going to tell me right now that Adani and Megumi are better chefs than Gin when he was their age. Nope, sorry, this is so broken. I want to like this, but this has become Bleach full bring. This has become, everyone said about the Regiment de Cuisine, about how after that arc that was post Aizen, and everything after this is going to be crap, because we have jumped from filler to fluff to just, and the genres have changed. It's too over the map. This is what happens when a series gets hyped. If this series was mediocre at best, it would have ended at the Regiment de Cuisine, probably even earlier. The Regiment de Cuisine probably would have been wrapped up really much quicker, probably 20 less chapters, and that would have been the end of the series. We would have gotten a couple of quick ending 10-year later chapters, would have been the end. But because it's popular, because it sells, they don't know what to do. I'm fully convinced that the mangakas did not intend for this to go this fast, this far. I believe that Azami was supposed to be the main villain of the series, and that was supposed to be drawn out longer, but I believe the editors or somebody basically said, wrap up the Regiment de Cuisine, get rid of Azami, jump into a new arc. And they aren't prepared for it. They don't know what they're doing. And for all the praise I've given over the last, out of the last 10 chapters, I praised a couple as standalones. You can't jump from kidnapping Dark Noir chefs to school life and beach episodes back into let's do murder case mysteries, back into let's do the big blue competition, and all of a sudden, like, where did all this come from? There's no foreshadowing, there's no setup, and what was the whole point of, so we basically wasted over 10, 20 chapters because Saiba being Suzuki meant nothing. It did nothing for the plot. It has changed literally nothing in this series. He showed up, we all know as the viewers who he was, and what did he do? What did he do? Because in the end, he did not sweep Arena off her feet. She's pissed off at him. He revealed his identity, captured her anyway, and said, we're going to the blue competition, I'm going to make you my wife. That could have been done without the infiltrating Totsuki thing. The entire thing of him being a teacher is unnecessary waste of ink, waste of paper, waste of reading. Because it did not actually do anything to advance the plot. And you can make the argument that he couldn't have fought Soma. But by that logic, he could have fought Soma anyways. They could have done an outside thing. And you don't not convince me that after Soma's speech at the end of the Regiment du Cuisine, that if he had come up to him and said, hey, big fan, and done some other ploy to get Soma in the kitchen, they could have had the exact same battle without the whole ploy of being a teacher thing. I've just realized now that his identity has been revealed to everybody, the whole, disguise as a teacher did nothing. So it was just a waste of time. So I don't know what this arc is trying to do, and now I feel like because they're very worried about everyone kind of going, this is the Bleach filler arc, this is the Fullbring arc, this is getting bad, this is getting worse. They're trying to jump the gun, but now they've ruined their pacing issues, and they're just trying to, okay, let's do the blue competition, let's get back to cooking, back to Shokugekis. And that's great, but now we're already set up for disaster because now it feels rushed. And it's a bad rush. It's not going anywhere good. And I feel like because it's rushed, because it's under pressure, I feel like this is now going to be the Fullbring arc, and they'll never recover from it. I really think that this is Regiment du Cuisine was officially the end of Shokugeki no Soma for what it was. Now we're getting into realms of the last arc of Bleach, fairy tale level problems, just I don't know, guys. Anyway, this has been a very long review. It's more of a rant. I didn't have to go for it page by page because read the chapter. It's not very good. There's nothing to go over page by page. It was just a bad chapter overall. But what do you guys think in the comment section down below? Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I think I've brought up a lot of good points, even in a rant-type format. Anyways, guys, this has been Griever. Drink responsibly as always. We'll see you back here next time. Please like, subscribe, comment as always. It's always appreciated. And I'm done. Keep cooking, guys, but we'll have to see where this goes. So, later, everyone.